Welcome back to the Bootroom Podcast. It is episode 7. Myself, Jay's on. I'm alongside the ever-present Jamie McCready.
Yes, sir.
And we've got a special guest on for today. It is Spurs Direct on Instagram, Mr. Harry Hennings.
Thank you very much.
Had to drop that promotion in for him.
Totally did, yeah, 100%.
Got it for free as well.
Yes.
We'll get straight into it then, starting off with the Premier League from last weekend, starting off with the big game from it. Manchester City 3, Chelsea 1. There's only one place to start, and that's Robert Sanchez.
Yes.
What an awful, awful mistake.
Came running
that was.
out of his goal. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And then didn't even try to get back. He kind of hovered on the edge of the box, waiting something to happen. And it's Haaland, you know, the next thing you know, the net's going to bulge, and he paid the price for it.
I think that Robert Sanchez is not built for the Premier League. It just shows, I think, so let's say if he did a Ramsdale and went down the league, he's just proven to everyone that he's still not capable enough to be in a team that's worse. Let alone Chelsea, within the top 10 or 7 or whatever it is. Sanchez has got to go for sure. But I know Jorgensen, is that his name? The Danish goalkeeper?
I believe so.
Yeah, is he Danish as well? I think he is. But he's a lot better than Sanchez for sure.
Yeah.
And it's shown.
And I thought Petrovic was quite good as well, actually, when he was with Chelsea in that, obviously, first year.
How much did they sign Sanchez for? Because it seems to me that the price that they've paid for him, they're just trying to keep up with the expectation, which isn't really going to work. He's proven that he's not good enough.
Well, speaking of new signings, Kusanov starting his first ever game for Man City, and it got off to a terrible start, making a mistake for the Chelsea goal and then being subbed off after 54 minutes. Do you think, I mean, he signed from Lens for 40 million euros.
Yeah.
Do you think over time it will prove to be a good signing?
I believe so. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen clips here and there, but obviously the thing you have to take into account is he's coming from the French league, which is nowhere near the level of the Premier League. But obviously, he's his first game is against a Big Six club. It's a big game. He can't speak any English yet. He hasn't settled into the country, so he needs to settle in a little bit. But I did see a stat, which was I think he made the most errors leading to goals or whatever it was on his debut, and it was like touches given away, fouls committed. It wasn't a great start, but the main thing about football and new signings is to be positive and to give them that little bit of leniency that it's their first game.
I think he's got the build of a good centre back. I'm not entirely sure how tall he is, but yeah, he's come from a bad league.
Yeah.
The French league's not a brilliant league, but I think he can be good. But it just depends. He's in a good team already, and he had decent defenders around him. So to make those mistakes was probably not good from his behalf, and to come off at 54 minutes probably shows that he's not quite ready for the Premier League just yet.
I think it was a strange decision from Pep to start him.
So do I.
Yeah, I think so too.
He should have played that guy in the academy. Is it
Simpson Puzzi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or Stones, because Stones was on the bench, wasn't he? So
Really?
because that's who came on for him was John Stones. So I was
Maybe Stones
surprised.
has come back from an injury though.
Perhaps, yeah, maybe he was.
Yeah, not good enough. I think Pep's trying to. We've seen what Pep can do with these sorts of players, and we know what top managers can do in good teams. I mean, even like Tyler Dibbling at Southampton.
Yeah.
They're just trying to force players in, and
And now look at him, he's been wanted by a lot of big clubs. I think actually, as funny as ironically Spurs are, I think in pole position to make a signing for the summer. That won't happen, will it? Obviously, with Levy obviously at the wheel, but it's getting a lot of attention from Liverpool, Milan, City, Chelsea. So yeah, big impressions from these sort of players.
For sure.
Well, it's not been great recently for Chelsea. 1 win in the last 7 Premier League matches, and they've slipped to 6th in the league. What is the expectation for Chelsea from here on out?
Getting a European spot. I think Europa League would be a booster from last season. They're in the Conference League this year. Chelsea deserve to be in the Champions League, not based on this season's form, but just based on the club, based on their history. But I suppose whatever you did last season, you would want to repeat and do even better. So I think for them, they should be happy with the Europa League. They should be content with Conference League, and maybe they should go further in a bit in the cups. I think that's my verdict.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think they expect a bit more though, because obviously I think a few weeks ago they were 2nd in the league, obviously, and even hearing rumours of title charge. But so I think the slip to 6th isn't obviously ideal. But I think one thing you have to look at is Nicholas Jackson, because so many times now he's let them down on the big occasions. He obviously he did score. Got the assist from Madueke's goal, but there were spells in that game where he really could have added a second or a third in the first half. Because I think if City went 2 or 3-0 down in the first half, that would have been game over.
I think for me, with you mentioned that Chelsea was 2nd a few weeks ago. Yeah, all right, fair enough. But for me, I'm first on my Football Manager save 16 games in. It means nothing. Do you know what
exactly.
I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it didn't mean too much. As we can just see in less than a month, they're all the way down the table again. So, from my perspective, them being 2nd 3 weeks ago doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But another game happened on the weekend. Fulham, Man United.
I mean, I want to talk about Manchester United because it wasn't a great quality of football match, but they did well in being disciplined in defence. And I really liked with what Manchester United did, especially on their left-hand side. Now, Kenny Tete is normally our starting defender, but he's injured for 3 months. Timothy Castagne has come in. He's a suitable backup, but he isn't as great defensively. And so as we set up out of possession, it's a back five where Alex Iwobi sort of tucks in as that right wing back. Now, what that means, it allows Lisandro Martinez to come into midfield, and that's obviously where the goal came from. His deflected shot went in, him being in midfield. So it was a brilliant piece of tactical work from Amorim, and it was an important win for them.
Indeed it was, yeah. I mean, obviously, I thought going into that game, I thought you were going to win comfortably, obviously, with United's form. I really did. And obviously, had that chance at the end, which Collier cleared off the line so late. I mean, imagine you would have thought that would have gone in. From
I was celebrating already.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But, yeah, I think I can see a point here at Højlund and Xerxes. It is a point that's got to be addressed because, obviously, I don't think either of them are good enough to start. They'll have the odd spell where they'll get a goal or an assist or a good cameo, but I don't think they're consistent enough to be a pivotal role for Amorim in what he's trying to do.
I think, you mentioned recent form. They're sort of the same in terms of form. I know Fulham are just a bit higher than United, but, it's a game that could have gone either way. Yeah. I would have probably expected Fulham to maybe have got a point out of it, but they are still Manchester United, right? They've still got a good team, and I don't know why they're not gelling, but, you got Xerxes, you got Højlund, you got Fernandes. These players on paper are decent players. Yeah. So they're just not clicking right now, but it's those 1-0s, 2-0s, 3-1s that is going to get you up the league, and they've beaten a decent side of Fulham for sure.
Well, we've talked about what's happened on the pitch for Fulham. I want to talk about what's happening off the pitch because a civil war is brewing around with Alistair McIntosh and Tony Khan with what's going on with the ticket prices. Now, if you would have seen, it would have been cheaper to book like a 2-day holiday than getting just a seat, not even hospitality or anything in the brand new Riverside stand, which was 160 quid for a ticket, I think.
Jeez.
So it was a lot, and we saw many problems in the home end with so many Manchester United fans being in the home end, and a couple of them even celebrating the goals, and the stewards just not being asked to kick them out. It's gotten to a point, this fixture last year, we took a stand getting out yellow cards in, I think it was the 15th minute. There's been a real discussion about whether we should go even further and maybe do a early walkout to say it's just not acceptable, because whilst ticket prices increasing has been a problem across the entirety of the Premier League, it's been a major issue at Fulham, especially with the new Riverside stand, which isn't even finished, by the way.
No,
this was due to be completed in 2021, and we're in 2025, and we still don't even have the swimming pool installed. So it's a real issue for us, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed quickly, because at the moment we're just rolling over for Alistair McIntosh.
But why would you said you mentioned an early walkout. I don't really understand. Why didn't you just not turn up to the game full stop?
Because tourists will just turn up instead.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the whole problem we've got at the moment.
Okay.
So they're turning up, and that's really what they want. They just want bums on seats, people who can pay the most money to buy those tickets. That's why there's been a decrease in season tickets, even though our stadium's expanding, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I don't think it's fair that clubs are charging over £160.
I wouldn't get it if it was like a Man City still, but it's Fulham.
But even then,
about.
I think that's still too much,
exactly.
isn't it?
And we're talking about Fulham.
That's like £2 every minute. That's like literally £2 every minute. And you're watching, like you said, Fulham. Doesn't matter who you're watching. There should be a cap for £35?
Yeah.
£40 maybe at most. You were telling me £90 for Tottenham, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of money.
For a big...
That's a lot of money.
A big six clash.
Because I went to the Liverpool fixture at Tottenham a few years ago, and it was what? £30? I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Because once you go to the 40s or 50s, then you start to pay a bit more. A big result on the weekend, Bournemouth 5, Nottingham Forest 0. Bournemouth are thriving without a striker.
Can't believe it. We saw Evan Nilsson go out when everyone's like, oh dear. But no, it's all right, we've got Unal. Then he gets out injured as well.
I think it was the same day and all.
I think it was the same day. And they're doing is maybe even better. Obviously, Dango Ouattara, Semenyo, Christie, I think. But yeah, and David Brooks obviously as well. They're all playing vital roles, and they are such a team together. Like at Newcastle to go away with all the injuries they've got and win 4-1, and then so it's 9 goals in 2 weeks effectively. A 5-0 victory as well.
It's very impressive from Iraola. When I saw the news that Evan Nilsson and Unal would be out, I thought that would be the end of them pushing for Europe.
Yeah.
But if anything, they've got more of a case for Europe now. I think maybe they do need another striker as a backup because they recalled Daniel Jefferson from Watford, I believe.
I can guarantee you he will not do a thing. That guy is so bad. He deserves to be in the League One. I promise you. He came onto the pitch. There we go. And he doesn't put a shift in. I literally can't believe you played for Watford on loan, mate.
Yeah.
Like, chill your beans out. I couldn't believe how bad he was, and he deserves to never play for Bournemouth or even Watford ever again.
Well then, Nottingham Forest, moving on to them, is this an anomalous result for
Yes.
them? Or
I think
Yes.
so. I don't think they're going to crumble from here on.
No. Bournemouth are a really good team, and they beat Liverpool at Anfield. They held us to a draw the second time, was it? I don't know. But look, Forest are a really good team this season. Under Nuno, again, we mentioned team spirit. For me, as a manager, if I was a manager, the most important thing would be team spirit and the togetherness of a team. But yes, certainly, I think Forest. This is an anomaly result for sure.
I think just an off day, I think, because obviously, I think when the second or third went in, their heads would have, their heads would have been lost, and then they would.
How's Bournemouth and Forest, who were like near the relegation last season, all of a sudden in the top 10?
I think it's what you say. I think it's mentality and team spirit. That's the main thing. Obviously, there's been a few good signings, obviously, with Milenkovic at Forest and certain players like that. Obviously, can we just address the centre-back partnership for Bournemouth? Zabani and Hoydston, unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. But by the way, Nuno, Iraola and Slot were all targets of Leeds United a few years ago. And it's mental to now see that they're first, second, third in the Prem.
Yeah.
It's mad. Championship time now. My favourite league. I think the best league in the world.
well, it wasn't on Monday. That's for sure. Burnley 0,
Awful.
Leeds United 0.
Yeah. I mean,
Did you watch it?
I did, and they had so much promise because obviously, they were first and third going into it or something. Obviously, Leeds were definitely top around the playoffs for Burnley, and it was absolutely awful. It was a snooze fest. I mean, I think I saw Burnley or Leeds on their TikTok. They had the post of the highlights, and it was literally the kickoff and in the final whistle. That's all that happened. Like, it had so much promise. I think maybe both sides were a little bit, afraid of going out too strong, but with the likes of Solomon and these players like Brownhill and
I didn't realise that this result even happened.
the quality that they've got, I expected a 2-2, 3-3 draw there.
I didn't.
Did you not?
It's a Scott Parker thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hating on Scott Parker now. I thought he'd be favourite for the Tottenham job a few years ago.
He was rumoured to go.
And he just got sacked just in that time. I like
I
Scott
don't
Parker.
rate
He used to play for Spurs,
I
didn't
like
he?
Scott Parker.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and what I like is we don't have a lot of good English managers, and I feel like Scott Parker
Yeah.
holds the country well, is what I'd say. Like he gives a good example of how to hold yourself to account, and But yeah, apparently no team had a shot until the 85th minute. That's
Well, in
appalling.
the second half.
Yeah.
Not even Watford can do that. Seriously, that's bad. Will Leeds and Burnley get promoted to the Premier League?
I think Leeds definitely will. But do you know what? I'm just bored of Leeds and Burnley coming back up to go back down again.
It's like Norwich a few years ago, if you remember.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, Norwich are...
Yo-yo clubs,
Yeah.
But like there's other teams like Middlesbrough. I'd love to have them back up to be a
I like
rival
the
with
new
Newcastle.
teams that come up. Like, I'd love it, even from a neutral's perspective, for Watford to be back in the Prem.
Yeah.
Because they just belong in the Prem. Not anymore, they don't.
Obviously, then obviously got teams like Blackburn as well. Millwall.
Yeah.
Millwall. Everyone wants Millwall.
Millwall?
Everyone wants them in the
I
Premier
think
League.
that's a Harry thing. I don't want Millwall in the Prem.
No, people
You
do.
want Millwall in the Prem?
No.
You don't?
No.
What? So not for any rivalries, but they're a great team to have in the Premier
Yeah,
League.
you don't
West
want
Ham,
a rivalry
Millwall.
with Millwall, that's the problem.
I don't know.
I'd want Leeds to get promoted. Not really, actually.
They're boring.
But not because they're boring, just the rivalry. Leeds, we all hate Leeds,
No one
all
likes
that
us,
kind of stuff. Burnley, I don't want to see them in the Prem.
And Sheffield United either.
It's a trek.
It is
for
a
an away
trek,
game,
yeah.
And I think under Scott Parker, they just go down straight away.
Yeah.
I think if they go up, automatic.
It's
have
just
a-
the same story, isn't it? They
It
go
is,
up,
yeah.
come down. Premier League this weekend, though. Bournemouth versus Liverpool at the Vitality Stadium. This would have been an absolute thrashing a few years ago for Liverpool. Now I'm thinking otherwise. I think we'll win the game, but I think it'll be 3-2.
I think these are the kind of games where if Liverpool win, these are the games that will win you the title.
Yeah.
Simple as
It's
that.
Bournemouth away is difficult.
It's those games that you like. All of a sudden, you think, "Oh right, we've got Bournemouth today. It's a bit of a
Yeah,
bigger occasion than
exactly.
we think."
Arsenal lost to them.
We did. Away. 1-0.
No shock, mate. Just who we are, mate. Brentford versus Tottenham this weekend. Is it going to be Ange's last game in charge?
We'll have to see Thursday as well. Obviously, Elfsborg at home in the Europa League, then Brentford. So
Can we get tickets to that, by the way?
Well, I said it to you, didn't I? Only a tenner a ticket.
You never said that to me.
Yeah, I did it the other day.
We're going to go. We'll go.
Yeah.
We'll do a boot room. We'll do a live boot room from the Tottenham Stadium.
But look, no, I mean, Van der Ven's back for Thursday.
Okay.
Whether or not he'll be in the squad, I
He
wouldn't.
shouldn't play. Come on.
Yeah, rest him for Sunday, or even give him 2 weeks because I'm afraid he's going to be rushed back and get injured again. Brentford's home form is brilliant, and Spurs' away form is poor. So I think it could be a 3-4-0 win for Brentford on Sunday.
Yeah, simple as that. Simple as that. The biggest game of the weekend is Arsenal versus City.
Yeah.
I really hope that Manchester City can win. However, we
Me
say
too.
that though, and then all of a sudden Man City are in the top 3 or top 4, whatever.
Yeah,
Fourth,
because obviously I think was it Pep, and there was an interviewer that said, "Are you going to make Champions League football?" And he went, "Why won't we?" I think he's that that confident that they will
But
make
then
it.
he'll come out
so.
and say that the league's done, which
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I don't think City can win it, but there's certainly some sort of contention that they could.
Yeah.
Because they are Manchester City, and they beat Arsenal on the weekend. It could happen.
It's written in the stars that
could
City will finish above Arsenal this year, isn't it?
Yeah, I
even
hope so.
if you win the league,
I hope so.
City in second, Arsenal
I hope
third.
so. Well, we've now got to be talking about referees, and there's 2 referees here, David Coote and Michael Oliver. Let's start with Michael Oliver. I didn't actually watch this, but I have seen it.
You've seen it.
Okay.
So Myles Lewis-Skelly was sent off in Arsenal's 1-0 win over Wolves at the weekend. It was for serious foul play, so not denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. The suspension has since been overturned by the FA after Arsenal won it on appeal. Do you not think it was a red card?
Initially, I thought it was for the denial of a goal scoring opportunity. That's what I initially thought. And then looking back at the match of the day, obviously said it was foul play. I think it's harsh. I think it's been right. And obviously, I'm never one to back up Arsenal with anything, but I think it's been rightfully overturned. I think it's very harsh. And obviously, later on, was it João Gomez got sent off? And that was a red card, 100%. It was a silly challenge to make when you're on the booking. But I think it's definitely been overturned correctly, yeah.
Do you agree with me saying if Arsenal went ahead and lost that game, the PGMOL would have come out and backed the decision to send Skelly off?
They did.
If Arsenal dropped points, is what I'm saying. If Arsenal lost that game and they've dropped points because Arsenal ended up winning, then what would happen? Do you think the PGMOL would be like, no, we've still made it, it was fine, it wasn't a red card?
Yes,
do you get,
good point. Yeah.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Because once Arsenal dropped points, the PGMOL would then come out and said their thing, and then Arsenal would have been like, well, fair enough, now we want to.
Well, the first thing that happened would Arteta would have blamed the ball or the grass or something for the loss.
It would have been like the lines weren't drawn properly or on the pitch or whatever. Things that we don't really want to hear about is death threats and the leaking of addresses, which is a bit strange for the
it's too much, isn't it, for him, honestly?
25. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's essentially it's their job. It's like me and you coming here or you working at the corner shop. Do you know, it's everything. It's just a job. Anyway, the biggest one of the week, David Coote, let me just say, by the way, he did apparently watch my podcast, Inside the Mind Off.
Did he?
Apparently so, but no more of that. The interview with The Sun has since been sacked by the PGMOL. He's not had an interview since, even though I did reach out and ask him for one. David, if you still want to come on the podcast, you're more than welcome. He came out as gay, and is this a possible deflection of was Ed's clapping? Because look, I think with the PG, I think there shouldn't be any sort of barrier. If you want to be openly gay, you should be openly gay. And there is a problem in football where it's seen as wrong, which obviously isn't really a normal thing to say in this century or whatever. But do you think it's a deflection away from what he's done?
No.
No?
No.
I don't know, because I think if he hadn't been obviously suspended as referee, he wouldn't have said it because he'd still be focused on 100% refereeing. But I think it's ironic that of all times he brings it out, it's just after that he's been found out of what he said.
Well,
so I'm a bit on the fence with it.
have
really.
you read the article about the interview, or have you actually watched the interview?
No, I can't say I have, no.
No. So it's 30 minutes, the interview with The Sun. And he speaks about him being gay for about 2 minutes. So
Okay.
it's just a headline.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a possible deflection. I mean, he's apologised for...
He's just openly coming out with it and just saying it how it is.
And I think it's respectable because, you know, homophobia in this sport is there. We know that. And especially as a referee as well, you're going to get abused. And if you say you're gay whilst being a Premier League referee, you're probably...
Going to get more abuse.
Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen more.
The backlash, won't
So that's going to happen. And I think, whilst it's not an excuse, we know that, it's definitely a reason why it could possibly be a factor why he was abusing substances.
Yeah, and we've seen the videos, we've seen him come out and say some weird things about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. Again, that's probably a whole reason that he shouldn't get his job back. He never will get his job back. But those videos were never acceptable, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
But yeah, do you want to talk about the general talk about referees? There was obviously 2 incidences, and the rise in abuses, you got stat 32%, right?
Yeah, 32% increase on assaults or attempted assaults to grassroots referees in 2024. I was involved in one of the attempted assaults at the weekend. I refereed my game. I was actually the assistant referee. The referee was threatened with death on the pitch in the first half, and then afterwards, whilst we were trying to leave to go to the car park, the player came out and tried to attack us and was only stopped by his own teammate and shouted, why are you racist and stuff like this, and it's just not acceptable.
No,
and
not at all.
I think it's because of the rise in social media as well, because this kind of behaviour, it's sort of being more, how do you say, more promoted, I guess. It's become more vigilant in the past few years, and it's just not nice at all, and it shouldn't be fair on us, because us as referees, we're there to make the game safe. And if ourselves are feeling unsafe, it's no good for the game.
No,
and we're very important for the game. But refereeing in this country, do you think it's... Where do you see refereeing in this country?
Poor. I think it's poor, if we're going to be honest. I think it gets a bad name, bad reputation. I can't comment on it too much because I'm not a referee. But there has been some... I mean, look, if we're going to talk about Premier League, there's been some decisions where have been appalling. And people should have lost their jobs.
The one I come back to is Luis Diaz one at Spurs.
Yeah, that was very bad. But there's been numerous for even Tottenham, every team, right?
Every team's got,
Now everyone makes a mistake, but when you use VAR and you're not using it to your advantage, like the lines being drawn you know, if your boots are a different shape to how it may be to otherwise, it may be offside. It's ludicrous.
VAR's there to correct the referee.
Yeah.
So it's meant to make the right decision, and often it's too often now it's making the wrong choice.
And if you've got people, for example, like David Coote, who had an agenda against Liverpool, where are the decisions that they've made which could have been wrong? And there's more of them. Don't think David Coote's the only one, because there'll be more. I'm not going to name names, but there could be more behind the scenes that have a disliking towards Fulham, and you might wonder, well, have they misdrawn the lines because of that? Because they don't like the club? You know, so David Coote doing what he did a few months ago has really, unfortunately, put a bad reputation on referees.
Well, what would be the solution or alternative?
I'm not sure. I'm not a referee, but the alternative would be get these guys in training and teach them how to draw lines properly, right? Is that not, that is the alternative? Would you say teach them how to properly referee a game and to probably use VAR to their advantage?
I should know though, shouldn't they? Really, but
right?
I think if they're making these mistakes, then you have to. Do
you not agree?
I mean, that training is already going on.
But it's not working. So you training me to work at McDonald's and I don't know how to do the fries. It's the basic stuff, right?
Yeah, but there is going to be some... Most of the time, the lines do work. It was only the Luis Diaz situation, possibly the Arsenal versus Brentford one a couple of years back, where the lines don't work. And then we're also getting semi-automated technology coming in soon. Which, by the way, people blaming the referees for that not happening yet. Last season, when the referees wanted it, because referees want technology to help them perform better on the pitch, the clubs rejected that. So it's not the referee's fault that we don't have this technology now. Now that technology is going to come in, which it's not going to be as advanced as it is in the World Cup because we don't have the Adidas balls which have the chip in.
Yeah.
So there's still going to be some human element to that, deciding the kick point and all that kind of stuff. It should make it a lot more easier.
Do you think that VAR should be pushed down to Championship, League 1, League 2?
I would say yes, but because of the rise in abuse of referees, there's not going to be enough match officials.
No, definitely not.
For there to be VARs in those leagues.
That's true. Speaking of which, you're approaching it, deadline day, Monday the 3rd of February. It's been pushed out, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been.
Well, it used to be the 1st, and now it's the 3rd, which is a bit strange. There's a few big names that have been linked. So, for example, Alejandro Garnacho, most likely to stay at Manchester United, but there has been rumours for Chelsea or Napoli. What do you think is going to happen with him?
I think he'll stay at Manchester United, and I think it's the right choice for him.
100%.
Whilst it's a toxic club, Manchester United, Chelsea's arguably just as toxic, and he's not... If he's going to make a move, it's going to be where he's going to get game time, and because of Jadon Sancho at Chelsea, he's not going to get game time there.
Absolutely not.
Napoli, I guess I could see it with the departure of Kvaratskhelia, but I think it's the right move for Garnacho to stay at Manchester United.
Yeah, I think so too.
Stay in the Premier League, and develop a name for yourself.
We saw what Paul Merson said as well, that he wouldn't start ahead of Madueke or Sancho or Neto, and I agree with that. He is not.
He's not very
make
good.
him. He
I
really
don't
isn't.
rate him at all.
No.
Yeah, he's overrated for sure.
The one overhead kick is sort of the thing he lives off, isn't
Yeah,
it? Sort of,
yeah.
so.
And it's just one. It's, Manchester United needed some players. They call up one of their youth guys.
Yeah.
And he's done all right, but he's not United level.
He does nothing special.
Yeah. Patrick Dorgu, 20 years old, never heard of the guy. Apparently he has just signed for Manchester United.
Yeah.
£25 million. A possible $5 million in add-ons, and it is certainly a risky move.
I think so.
I've never heard of him. Who is
No,
he?
I hadn't either.
From Leeds.
Lecce.
Lecce.
Who? Lecce.
Serie A
in Serie
team.
A.
It's like a drink, isn't it? That's another club. It's
Milk in Spanish, yeah.
oh yeah, Lecce, yeah. So he's joining. He's from FC Milk. He's joining into Manchester United.
I don't. Whilst I get it for the short term and the long term, it's a little bit of a weird move because it's risky at the same time. Diogo Dalot is obviously playing left back, makeshift left back at the moment. He's on his weaker side.
Not doing too
as
badly,
a
is he?
right-footed. He's not doing too badly, but what there is if Luke Shaw comes back and stays fit, you've got Luke Shaw, Dorgu, and then you've got also that Amas youngster coming through.
And then
So-
Malacia as well.
yeah, so you've got so many options there down that left-hand side. I just don't know the long-term future of Manchester United. And that's with all positions on the pitch.
They're going to get
to be
relegated,
honest.
mate.
But especially left-back, I'm just so confused by what's going on there.
I don't think Luke Shaw will get many starts when he's back. I don't think.
Is this like the beginning of the end for Luke Shaw?
I think so for him. Yeah. I don't think Amas will obviously be a starter. Malacia, when he's played, he's looked half decent. But Dorgu, I don't think. I mean, he may go straight into the starting 11. Whether or not he'll be good enough to keep his place.
You're telling me that guy at 20 years of age is going to go into the starting 11?
Well, he may do. And that's what he's been signed for, isn't it? He hasn't been signed to sit on the bench or to be loaned out again. I don't think so. I mean, Delot's good, debatably, but I don't think Delot can't start left wing back anymore. Mazraoui's good on the right, but Delot, there's been rumours that he may be on his way out as well. So I think Dorgu could be eased into the starting 11, yeah.
Right, this is a problem with Manchester United and Tottenham fans, right? You all claim that you spent no money, but yet they can quite willingly fork out £25 million.
Well, that's United, yeah.
But Tottenham have done the same thing. You're complaining that you haven't signed
For who?
anyone. You spent so much money.
On who?
I don't know. On the like last year, you signed Bergvall. You signed
Oh, for $5 million.
all the signings that you made last year. You spent more than Liverpool last year.
Yeah, but that was once in a blue moon. We have not spent
But it
that
wasn't
amount of
because
money in
the
a
previous
summer
year you
window.
spent money on Kulusevski. You spent money on Timo Werner
No, one was a loan.
on a loan.
No money spent on a loan.
Yeah, but you spend money on the loan, right?
Yeah, for wages.
I'm just Van der Ven, Romero. These are all players that have come in the last few years. Porro. You bought a whole new team.
yeah.
You bought a whole new team and you still complain.
But listen, the thing with Kulusevski, Romero, Porro, they were all loan with an option to buy, which meant it would rapidly decrease the amount of the starting price to initially bid. Porro's out of contract. Kulusevski was out of contract. A lot of players were not, at big price tags at the time because I'd never heard of Romero before he came to us.
Okay. Well, there's two players. We'll just quickly brush over Neymar and then we'll talk about Benjamin Sesko. Neymar back to Brazil. He joins his boyhood club on a free transfer after leaving Al Hilal. The wildest headline to come from it is that he's returning, right?
Not quite.
No.
He's
Go on.
he's joining Santos at the expense of Sheffield Wednesday's Josh Windass.
Josh Windass, yeah.
Really? Or Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday were going to...
Sheffield Wednesday, Santos were going to buy Josh Windass,
Wow. Okay.
but couldn't, so instead opted for Neymar.
Wow.
I think that's a win-win. I think Windass is a big name, obviously, for Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
Windass and the other, I can't think of his name.
Who? Dean Windass.
No.
there's
I mean,
another guy.
the other person.
Brennan. He's like an old guy.
Barry Bannon.
Barry Bannon.
That's who it is. Barry
Good
Bannon.
Good player.
And Dean Windass. They're the two that you think of when you think of Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I think it's a win-win for all parties involved there, to be honest with you. But Al Hilal's, was it the president or the manager, said that he simply isn't at the level that they want to play at,
Which is
awful, which is very, very
£200
strange.
million and he's played 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
I mean, what level is he talking about?
That's what I
'Cause
mean.
The Saudi League is awful.
Yeah.
I think he probably expected more. Like, if you're going to spend that much... I think that's what he's probably meaning. Spend that much money for a player's wages and he can't even be fit.
Yeah, but I think the whole point of him moving to the Saudi League is it's a big name, right?
Well, it is, yeah.
And so
But
it's
is he that big of a name anymore?
Yeah.
Well, people still
Well,
talk
it's
about
big
him,
for
yeah.
the league.
You wouldn't watch the league because Neymar's playing.
No, you wouldn't. But
No.
then you wouldn't because of Ronaldo either, really, would you? Unless you're Ronaldo
You
fans
can't
or
watch it
Neymar
here
fans.
anyway. To be fair,
I mean, I never met an Al Hilal fan. That's obviously not in. That's not in the Saudi
I don't
league.
think-
you met
Anyway.
Al Hilal fan in the UK.
No, I said I haven't.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
If we've got any Al Hilal fans, just drop a
Yeah.
comment.
Oh, we got one there. Okay, rounding off this episode, Benjamin Sesko, 21 years of age, / Mateus Cunha, both linked with Arsenal,
Yeah.
the most delusional club in the world, who
true.
are both
Agree.
in need of attacking options.
Very much so.
I'm on a group chat, right? And every minute I'm getting told Sesko, Cunha, Naipan, every player at Rashford,
Everyone's linked with them.
everyone, not even linked. Every player's signed for them.
Oh yeah.
And then you go to the end of the window, where's Sesko? Oh, we didn't want him in the end. He's not
Yeah.
good enough. Why didn't you just shush your mush? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and Sesko's awful, isn't it? Like, there's no chance that he would have an effect at Arsenal.
Rumour is 60 million for Sesko, 65 million for Cunha.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'd spend the money on Cunha 100%, but Sesko is not worth £60 million.
Do you not think?
Not at all. No.
No. Well,
Shocking at the Euros. I mean, he scored a good goal last week, I think, in the Champions League.
you may as well just buy like Gyökeres, for example, who's another one that they've
Spend a
been
bit more money on Gyökeres.
because Gyökeres has proved maybe in obviously a worse league, but he can score as much more goals.
But Leipzig are the thing, they're already out, aren't they, from the Champions League? They're already eliminated.
Near enough, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my point. I think from my point of view, Arsenal fans just got to be quiet and just stay in their lane a bit. You haven't won a European trophy. You're not going to win the Premier League for the next 3 seasons, and maybe longer, I hope. And you're never going to sign Benjamin Sesko or Cunha or Naipan or anyone else.
Fair enough.
That's good.
Should we round up speaking about our own clubs then?
Yeah,
Spurs.
why not?
What do Spurs need?
A lot. A new
Everything.
manager, new team.
No, so Levy and Joe Lewis and Enick, the whole board, to step down, resign, whatever. Just get them out because I'm sorry, it has been 24 years, 60 managers and 1 trophy. It's shocking, it's laughable, it's appalling.
I'd love it.
More trophies than Fulham.
And still more European success than Arsenal. But look,
That's true.
it's terrible. Levy sucked the life out of the club. He doesn't care. He sits there. The camera will pan to him. He sat there with a gormless look on his face. He's a neutral. He couldn't care less. Newcastle were obviously poor. They got the owners in. They spent a bit of money, not a lot. And now look at them. City did the same thing years and years ago, of course. But I think some more signings because our injury crisis is unbelievable. Maddison out yesterday too. He's out for 3 weeks now with a calf injury. I don't know. So he'll miss a second leg at Liverpool, the FA Cup against Villa.
Get in.
Van der Ven Romero should be back for that. But and now we're looking at sending out Yang Min Haek on a loan. We haven't got any attackers left. We can't fill a bench, and we've got players like Hardy, King, Castle. I've not heard of these players that make up our bench. They're all academy graduates. I've heard of one of them. Mikey Moore's the only name I recognise on that bench.
What,
Aside
not even
from
Alfred
Will
Dorrington?
Lancashire. Dorrington as well. But
He's
the
good on
point
FM, by
is,
the way.
would Dorrington make the bench for anyone else? When we got our players back, is he there? No, he's not.
But you've spent money. Like I don't get. Look,
No, I know he spent money, but at the moment in time, we have no one in our squad. It is thin. We're relying on Archie Gray to play centre back and left back. Dragusin is poor. As much as we joke about him, he's not good enough. Bissouma and Sarr have fallen off. Kulusevski he's been the only player this season who can say that he's been putting 100% in.
in the last 5 years, Tottenham has spent nearly £500 million. In 24-25, it was nearly 100 million. 23-24 was over 125. 22-23 was 117. 21-22 was 50, and 20-21 was 80.
Does it say who has been signed on those
But you
windows?
spent that money.
Yeah. But if you think 60
But that's third, by the way.
plus million was spent on Ndombele,
But you spent the money. There's only 2 clubs that are above you, which United and Chelsea. And you
Right,
find,
but
where's
that's the
Liverpool? City at 7th, Liverpool at 8th. And where are we in the Premier? We spent £4 million in 24.
But the signings that big 6 club make, they're good
still willing to
signings.
spend money.
Yeah, but he goes for the cheap option. He could have gone for Eze, but he bought in Johnson, who is 10 times worse than Eze. Johnson is not good enough. He's poor. Eze would have transformed the squad. He would have added more, quality and threat
What's
in
Eze
the
doing
attacking
right now?
position.
Eze's not performing that well.
No, but because we didn't fork out the money to buy him, and so no one went
But
in
you
for him.
forked out. Okay, mate. Okay. Well, meet in the middle. The recruitment at Tottenham's very poor, but you're willing to spend the money.
Sort of, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I mean, to be
so
fair,
Tottenham fans, you've spent the money.
our director had to step down, Fabio Paratici, for a ban. He's back soon, so I think when he's back, there could be a bit more life. I think we're set to sign Dibbling.
And also, by the way,
in the next few
we haven't
days,
even
but-
mentioned you bought a new stadium, new facilities.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
World-class
That was meant
equipment.
to make us one of the biggest teams in the world because of the ground, and it's made us even worse. We had more chance of trophies at White Hart Lane than we do now.
Yeah, that's true. But do you think it's down also down to Ange Postecoglou?
Yes, I think so. I'm a big Ange fan. I like him. I like what he's trying to do. But equally, I can't hide the fact that he hasn't got a plan B. He's still trying to play awful attacking football with a depleted makeshift back line, and it's not working.
And also, it gets to a point where a couple injuries, okay.
But to have 13 injuries out, to be fielding 3
you've got to look at something, whether that be the training regime, whatever.
I think it is. I think we have 40% of the league's injuries are Spurs hamstring problems. We have 40% of the league's hamstring issues.
Well, just goes to show. I don't think Ange is a problem, to be fair.
No, I don't think he is either.
But yeah, Fulham doing all right? But
yeah. We struggle against the lower half teams. Against the top 6 teams, we seem to be doing all right.
Yeah.
Whilst the goals get spread around a lot in our team, I think there is that lack of cutting edge. We saw it in the United game. We've seen it a couple times against Ipswich, Southampton, those kind of games where we just need someone who will win us the game. Now, Emile Smith-Rowe came in, and before the Man United game, I was thinking these are the type of games where a £27 million signing comes in and wins you these games.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done that. And I think we need another winger to come in, whether that will be realistic or not for this window or summer, to come in, have good technical ability, but also being quite fast, because we do play quite a bit on the counter-attack.
Yeah.
And we can't do that with the likes of Wilson and Iwobi. Whilst they're not the slowest, they're very good technically and better in tight areas rather than playing on the wing. And then you've got Adama for that, but he's awful.
No end product, does he?
No end product, absolutely. So I think that's what we need. Maybe another striker as well.
Maybe. Call back Vinicius.
Carlos Vinicius. Less to speak about, the better. But Liverpool, they're doing all right.
Yeah,
aren't they?
doing all right. I don't want to really brag it too much, boys.
90 minutes away from elimination to the Carabao Cup.
All right, mate, but you're also 90 minutes away from elimination out of everything as well. So, you're never going to get in Europe next season, mate. But that wraps it up from me. I think Liverpool are going to win the league, Champions League, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup.
Carabao Cup, yeah. Okay.
Just make you top.
We'll see. Yeah.
So,
definitely Premier League, yeah.
You think?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I hope so as well. So that wraps up another episode of the Bootroom Podcast.
Yep.
With our special
next
guest, Harry.
episode, we'll have another special guest.
Another special guest. Harry, you
Yes.
get called special these days.
Thank you.
Good. But you've been one of our
Lovely.
special guests. Thank you very much.
We'll do the traditional handshake.
Bring it in the middle. Yes. And you two across the table as well. We've actually had an audience here today, so thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And yeah, we'll catch you next time on the Bootroom Podcast.